Our intro sounds pretty good but still lacks some atmosphere. We can fix that by adding percussion rhythm, maybe vocal or some foley sound. And I decided to add birds chirping sound. This is very typical for this genre. Here is how it sounds, and as you can see there are too many low frequencies, so I cut them out. Don't forget about warping. Okay, sounds nice. Let's fade it out. I added reverb to add more space and atmosphere. I set dry wet knob higher to 71% to push it back in the mix. Let's listen it once again and maybe I'll come up with some new ideas. I really like how it sounds, and I think we should make the drop longer, but I'm going to make this second part sound slightly different. For example, we can cut the first beat here. Let's make a longer gap here. Much better. But I want to make the melody stand out in this gap. I think we should delete layer here. I think we have too much reverb on the lead. Let's disable reverb here to make the lead drier so it stands out more. Okay, now it's good. But this second part is still sounds the same as the first one, so what I'm going to do next is to decrease the intensity of that part. We need this for better transition from the drop to second break. Now this part sounds different. It's still interesting and catchy, but not that intense as the first part. And at the same time, the drop becomes more interesting. Basically, I just modified rhythmic patterns of the chords and bass track. Let's check how it sounds without vocal lead. Probably I'll leave kick drum here. And let's move noise hit out of the gap to enhance that full stop feeling. Much better. And to add even more difference, I think we could try another chord sound. Kinda new disco sound that sounds slightly different. I'll use a sampled synth shot instead of synth. Something like this. Make sure to disable warping, and I transpose it one octave down because it's too high. I used a sample instead of synth because I like the effect it creates. Sort of like an old school sampled synth. You won't be able to recreate this effect using a synth. Let's cut low frequencies to get a mid boost and to keep it clean. I like how it sounds, but why not try another sound? Who knows, maybe we will find something better. Let's try another sample pack. There is some weird attack, kinda glissando, so I move sample start to see how it will sound on different positions. Sounds good. Let's check how it sounds together with the lead. I transposed new chords sound one octave down and I removed a moderate amount of high frequencies to make space for lead. This also reduces brightness and makes it sound not so intense. I want more calmly sound here. I also like how our lead sounds together with the bass, without chords. I think we should experiment with this combination and see what we come up with. I'll keep our chords ideas and try to layer bassline with some different bass sound, some acoustic sounds or even slap bass sample. Disable warping. Let's search for some synth or wop wop sample. I think we should transpose our lead layer one octave down to make it sound more calmy and not so screamy. And I think there is too much reverb on the lead layer. This part of the drop has a sparse arrangement and reverb tail sounds very noticeable and unpleasant. So I disabled reverb on the second part of the drop because it makes it sound kinda noisy. And I want to get back to the bass track and try another sample. I have an idea to make wub effect on chords similar to the bass. This should add some more movement and variety. I'll do it with filter modulation. Let's set it like this. And now we need to find its envelope. Okay, here it is. Let's increase the amount and adjust attack. Let's cut lows a bit more to reduce mudness. And I also want to make it sound very wide and big. I'll use the same simple delay trick. And here we can also add chorus. It will add some more stereo with modulations and overtones. I also add reverb to bring more depth. Small size and short decay just to add some texture and tone. It adds fullness and space. Let's narrow the stereo width. Now I want to hear the transition between the first and the second parts. Sounds good, but I feel that our lead sounds too screamy. I want it to sound bright, but not that screamy. I think we can leave only one layer of the lead melody. And let's cut high frequencies on the lead layer with auto filter. It sounds too aggressive for this part. I think it will be better to create frequency automation like this. Again, this will add some movement and evolving changes to arrangement. I filtered highs and reduced the energy, but it still adds density to the lead. Let's get back to the drums. We don't need hi-hats here. And ride too, because we want to create more calm and smooth feeling. Sounds good. We can also change kick drum pattern. This part has a sparse arrangement, so we can play with rhythmic pattern and structure. Let's not forget to update sidechain pattern. And I changed its color so that you can identify which one is the original. And don't forget to add snare pattern to sidechain track. Let's delete this right clip and copy our kick and sidechain pattern here. And we don't need that chords clip. We will use a new version here. I left hi-hats here to keep the track interesting for the listener. We can also introduce a new percussion track in this part of the drop. Let's try this sample. Let's try another one. Maybe this one. To add some live and organic feel, I moved percussion pattern a bit off the grid. This adds some nice and groovy feel. Let's try some different sample. And I think it will be great to add some crunchy clap. This one should work. Let's reverse it. And I transpose it down to make it a bit longer. I'll use it on every second and fourth snare to make the beat more interesting and varied. As I recall, we have some nice vocal chants in this pack.
Yo, yeah, yo, woo, ho, yo, oh, woo.
This one should fit. Let's pitch it to make it sound like a little kid voice.
Woo, 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 woo.
Something like this. And it seems we forgot to replace bass line here. And lead too. This clip should be 1 octave lower as the previous one. Let's edit filter automation on the lead layer like this to create some more tension before breakdown. And I want to reverse this noise clip to make a simple riser. It will introduce the breakdown. Let's pitch up vocal sample to make it sound cartoonish. I also want to apply phaser on it to shape its tone. We can also try saturator to add more drive and harmonics. And let's talk about panning. I didn't pan anything because, for example, chords track is centered, but it sounds wide and there is no need for panning. Probably I'll pan some drum elements like hi-hats or percussion, but we already have wide stereo sounding track. This is a matter of taste and choice. But I never use panning on the main instruments in the EDM music. You may hear some noticeable panning in acoustic, rock music or in some experimental music, but not in mainstream music. Let's adjust chords filter a bit to keep the track moving forward. Talking about panning, let's try out to pan on the vocal to make it move from the right to the left speaker. Sounds interesting, but it makes it lose its punch. It has a rhythmic roll here, so I want to keep that punch. Let's delete our old melody. I feel that our lead still sounds too screamy and there is too much energy in it. I think we should try how it sounds one octave down. Sounds much better. And we have a nice melody here. Let's use it at the end of the drop. Let's move it one octave down. I left the initial pitch of this clip on purpose. The main lead and groove on that part of the drop is constantly evolving and changing. This will surely keep the track interesting for the listener. And let's copy impact here to make the end of the drop and Foley. To not start from scratch, let's copy intro here and transform it into a breakdown. And probably I'll add few elements like arpeggio to add some variety. I want to adjust automation lane like this to slowly introduce the piano. I want to introduce chords earlier in the second break to make it different from the first one. And I'm going to apply the similar effect to chords, but using volume automation instead of filter. I want to make the beginning of the break soft and smooth. Sounds good. Let's add the drop. It seems that there is something wrong. Let's copy it once again. And I want to use the same effect as in the middle of the drop. Still something wrong. Let's copy it together with the build-up. I forgot to lock automation lanes. I think we can feel the first beat with the wobbling chord. Let's see how it sounds. Sounds interesting, but a bit static. Let's add panning automation like this. And I think we need some short riser here. Or maybe some percussive fill.
What?
Something like this. Sounds nice. Let's add panning automation to add more movement. I think we can make this second drop a bit longer. And let's make a bit different transition into the calm part of the drop. Let's move lead one octave down in order to decrease the energy of the song. This is the end of the track and we don't need too much energy here. I think we can use another hi-hat pattern here, something very simple. This is the end of the drop and the intensity is going down, so we don't need driving hi-hats at this part. And we can also replace this vocal here.
Yo! Ha! Hey! Oh! What? Yeah! Come on. Wow. Oh! Go! Ha! Hey! Hey! Ho! Hey! Woo! Woo! Yeah! Hey! Yeah! Hey!
Let's try another pack.
One, two, three, four. Hey, go. Let's go. Oh, drive. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Yo. Yeah. Yeah.
This one sounds good.
Yeah.
I edited percussion fill to make it slightly simpler. It was too complex for my taste. I think we should add one more bar to the drop. Currently, we have an odd number of bars, and this sounds confusing and difficult for the listener. I think we can remove hi-hats and right here, at the beginning of the drop. Let's try to make our main lead one octave down here to diversify the sound of the track. I think that there is something wrong with this melody. I did a lot of copy pasting and probably messed up something.
There is still something wrong.
Let's copy it from the first drop to be sure everything is right. Let's consolidate it and transpose it one octave down. And here we should set filter automation backwards to decrease the energy. And let's make our outro part a bit longer like this, but without melody. It will be great to use parts of the lead melody in the gaps between chords. Sounds weird. I guess we need to come up with something else. I just want to use some melody phrases at the outro part to make transitions to outro smoother. I think we can close the filter and try to come up with some smooth, simple melody phrases. Sounds cool. Let's fix note position. And now we can slowly close the filter. We can also use some different sound for this outro lead to add some variety. You can create interesting and rich sounding music when you have different but similar sounding instruments. Let's remove automation. And I want to find some saxophone or maybe guitar sample. Let's try this one. I disable warping and delete all automation. Sounds pretty cool. And I want to slowly close the filter on chords track. But before, we need to fix this envelope here. And let's add Foley here to add some atmosphere. We can also increase reverberation on this outro lead to make it a bit more distant in the mix. Let's adjust decay. And to make it more wider and bigger, I want to add ping pong delay. I put ping pong after reverb, so reverb tail will be repeated by ping pong delay left and right, creating more space. This technique works well on this type of sounds. I'll better place it after OTT compressor because it amplifies delay and make it endless. Yeah, way better now. It sounds so good, so I'd like to add few more bars. And now we can gradually remove drum elements at the end. Snare drum sounds pretty aggressive here, so I only leave clap. And we can also add auto filter on bass drum to slowly decrease its energy. Let's extend our Foley clip. Something like this. And I think we can apply the same effect on intro. I forgot to copy our claps. And I also copy chords. Let's extend our Foley clip accordingly. We can also use the whoosh. And I think we can slowly introduce piano from the beginning. Not sure about the piano. Let's try to do the same with pad. And I'm not really sure about the bass pattern here. It's lose the sense of rhythm. Let's try a bit different rhythm. I didn't change it too much, but this way the melody starts on the beat so we can catch the rhythm. I think there is something wrong with sidechain trigger here. We have a smooth clap at intro and outro, so there is no need to trigger sidechain from it. This sounds kinda weird. I think it will be better to use only kick drum pattern for sidechain trigger on parts where we don't use a snare drum. We can even try to completely disable sidechain here, because I don't like how our instrument duck here. Or probably this happens because we don't have sidechain compression on pad and piano. Let's add sidechain compressor to the chords group and check how it sounds. Sounds weird. Let's reduce sidechain ratio at this part. And I think we should copy our outro lead to intro. Here it is. really like how it sounds. It adds some sort of tropical feeling. I think we can also use it on the break. I just added outro lead to breakdown. We don't need this clap here. And let's remove sidechain as well. And I think we need to add some snare fill before the drop and some percussion. But before that, I want to replace hi-hats here with this simple pattern to bring some evolvingness. We can also remove this clip at the beginning of the drop. And let's adjust snare drum release because it's too short. I have another idea. We need to find the typical hip-hop snare. This one should fit. I'm going to make some typical trap snare fills. Let's find some more sandy snare. I think we can use this sample to layer our main snare. I'll do it later, let's get back to our fills. Finally, I found it. And I want to layer this kick fill with the clap or snare sample to add more energy. Let's add reverb on it. I set short decay and 70% wet to push it back in the mix a bit. I set small size so we will hear a strong reverb tail. Oh, there is something wrong with the snare track. I forgot to set simpler to snap. And here I want to make the first chord longer like this, to fill this small gap. I'm going to add filter automation so it will slowly rise. This makes transition into break much smoother. And this also adds a touch of variety because we didn't use this before, so it's kinda new and fresh for the listener. just listening and looking for some inspiration and ideas. Beautiful. I really like how it sounds. Let's get back to the snare. I had an idea to layer it. I'm going to add a huge reverb. I like the sound of the main snare, but it sounds dry, so this new layer will add space and brightness. Sounds too low. I want it to sound more like this. I cut off lows on the input signal that goes to reverb. Let's make size bigger so it will sound more spacey. Well, I'm trying to make it sound as bright and as big as possible. I'm just experimenting with the settings. Let's add EQ and boost around 4000 Hz to add more shine. Since we're using tonal snare here, I'm just going to make sure it sounds good with other instruments. Oops, wrong track. I think it sounds good. Let's use this layer here, and here add the second drop. The second drop is pretty long, so this will add some variety. And I want to get back to the bass line. Low frequencies sound very wide, and this is not good. Low frequencies should be in mono. This helps avoid phasing issues. But this doesn't mean that you should make the whole bass track in mono. Ableton's EQ has mid-side mode. M stands for mid and S stands for sides. I'm turning off bands that are not in use to save CPU power. I'm going to cut off low frequencies on sides. Now everything below 100 Hz is in mono. Something like this. The bass still sounds full, but now I'm sure that the bass frequencies are centered. This bass lacks of low end. I think we should layer it with this bass to add more lows and sub-frequencies. And I'm going to cut off a bit of low end here to leave more space for that lower bass layer. I think we can boost mids to highlight that wop wop. I'm going to cut off high and mid frequencies on that low bass layer. Only at the second part of the drop where we have that wobbling bass. That way they will not fight for the space in the mix. So the bottom layer will be a sub bass and the top layer at mid and high frequencies. Let's copy this sub bass right here. And I think we should turn the sidechain compressor ratio down on the outro, like we did on intro. There is one thing that worth to mention. Even if you set it to the minimum value, it still affects the sound. So, it will be better to disable it when you don't use it. Let's remove these artifacts. We use auto filter here and here. So we don't need it here on the drop. Let's delete this one too. So let's disable it and make it active only when we have filter automation. Otherwise, it adds a bit of resonance on low frequencies that might cause weird phase issues in the low end of the mix. I'm going to rename this group. I forgot to turn it on. Now I'm going to add some more transition effects. Let's search for some riser sound. I want to add some more tension on the build-up. Let's tune it. Its root note is C, and we need to transpose it to E, the root note of the track. I'm going to turn it into stepwise using Outpan. Something like this. I added rate automation to switch it from 8 notes to triplets. Let's make this channel a bit louder. I just copied riser to the second build-up and added few locators, just to organize our arrangement. I think the intro chords sound too bright, and I'm going to adjust filter automation a bit. And bassline is too aggressive for the intro part. We don't need too much energy here. Let's do the same at the outro. I'm going to delete this last beat here. This will make the track ending more smoother for listener. Let's add some effects to the transition into build-up. We forgot to copy snare fill to the second drop. We can also add chorus on this fill to get a wider sound. Let's get back to this impact. We forgot to disable warping on it. Let's disable it on all instances. And I want to pitch down this particular sample to make it less boomy. Something like this, like a deep noise. I changed it because it was too powerful and kinda EDM-ish. I wanted to sound deep and with less attack. And I'm going to delete this last couple beats here to make the beat stop on the snare. This will help to transition into break. I also want to add a long reverb tail on the last snare using a sand effect. Let's add very long decay. I think we can delete all snare track. I guess we don't need it anymore. And now we can draw sand automation. I'm going to make it very long. Something like this. Let's make some adjustments on hi-hats. I want to make them smoother because they sound too aggressive. Let's just add reverb to push them back in the mix. Shorter pre-decay makes it sound further away. I'd like to replace some hi-hats to something more organic or smoother. like shakers or maraca. Sounds better. And I think we should transpose tambourine because it sounds too bright. Now our hi-hats are drowned in the mix because of the reverb. Let's adjust its dry wet. I'm still not satisfied with the sound of this percussion loop. And it seems I pitched down the tambourine too much. Let's pitch it up a bit. Let's try to adjust the velocity to make them sound not that loud. This loop sounds too prominent in the mix. Not sure. Maybe we will try some different samples. Or we can try to adjust sample rate or volume envelopes. Sounds better. And I want to get back to the piano. It's way too static to my taste. Let's just move some notes off the grid to humanize the pattern, like it was played by a real piano player. Let's adjust the volume. Now that I've gotten everything sounding how I want it, it's time to mix the drums a bit. I'll be mixing only the main drum elements that play during the drop. I want to make them sound glued and punchy. Let's group them together. And I'm going to use glue compressor. For the drum bass compression, I set a very short attack and release to make it act more like a limiter. And I set dry wet to 50% to create a parallel compression effect. With this technique, we can bring more energy and punch without squashing any of the transients. I adjust the threshold until the meter just begins to move. Let's activate soft clipping to make it sound more like a limiter. Let's increase the attack to make sure transients are getting through. But I don't think we should apply group compression to the kick drum. We already have a good balance between kick and bass. And I like how the kick sounds, so I want to drag it out of the group. I want to glue only high register percussion like hats, cymbals, and snares. The kick drum is a very important element, and I don't want it to be grouped into anything before it hits the master bus. But every track is different, and sometimes I keep it grouped. Let's adjust compressors, settings, and make a quick A/B comparison. So now the snare drum sounds quieter, other elements sound louder, and percussion group sounds more balanced. Let's add some shine. I usually make a small boost at around 14.5 kHz. You can even cut highs here to reduce some harshness. Let's check it with and without EQ. And let's make another A/B comparison. Sounds way better. The drums sound more prominent in the mix. And I think we can back to the kick drum. I like how it sounds, but I'm going to try add some more attack at the kick to make it sound clicky. Let's add compressor. I'm using compressor with slow attack time to let the transient through. Well, I think it sounds better without compressor. Instead, I'd like to give the kick some more body with EQ. Just a wide boost at around 80 Hz to bring some more bass. I think we're almost done with our track. I just want to make some final adjustment here and there before we proceed with the mastering. I'm going to cut low frequencies on the lead group to make room for low frequency instruments. Let's check instruments group. I'm going to cut lows on chords track and add some body and fullness. As you see, I don't make any extreme cuts to leave space for lead or something like that. We only have low cuts on groups to reduce muddiness and make more room for bass and kick drum. I prefer to sculpt the sound during production process and use sounds that fit and sound good together without much processing. And here we have a pretty sparse and kind of basic arrangement. Just drums, chords, lead, and bass. And all these elements occupy different frequency ranges and complement each other. You need to plan your mix so all instruments are separated on the frequency spectrum and have their own place. For me, it sounds good if it sounds good. For example, we can try to make some cut on the instruments group to make more room for the lead. The lead sounds near 200-400 Hz. But if we will cut this range on the chords track, we will completely lose it in the mix because it sounds quiet. So don't mess with the EQ unless you can clearly hear what's wrong with the sound. I would even try to boost highs on the chords track. Let's leave it like this. And here at the beginning of the breakdown, I would like to add the first bass note. The drop ends on the last chord, but I want to return to the first note of the chord to keep the tonality and the feeling of the first chord in the breakdown. Because now it sounds unpleasant to my ear and transition feels kinda weird and unfinished. So I'm going to find some bass one-shot sample. Something like this. Next, I'm going to tune it to the root note. Let's try another sample. And let's deactivate this impact for a second and add a huge reverb on the bass shot. Sounds good. Now we can activate impact. Wrong button. Here we go. I'm going to cut lows because it's conflict with impact and add some more high frequencies to brighten up the color of the reverb tail just a little bit. I adjust reverb size to make it more tonal. Let's adjust hi-hats level. I like what we got here. Now it's time for mastering. First of all, I'm going to cut off low frequencies on sides, just like I did on the bass. There is not much low frequency information on sides, but let's keep the slow cut just in case. I'm not going to use MIDI EQ, so I just disable its bands to save the CPU. We need this instance of EQ just to clean up sides. And let's add another one that we will use to make some tonal balance. But I would like to put the EQ after the compressor to have more control on the frequencies. Sometimes I put EQ before the compressor, it depends. But before that I would like to adjust glue settings because the needle is not moving at all and it doesn't apply compression. We have way too much lows. I got low frequencies only on sides and didn't touch to MIDI EQ, so the low frequencies are still there. I boosted mid to add some body and fullness. I cut sub not because I actually hear it, but because I see that on the spectrum analyzer. Ideally, I would cut everything below 30 Hz with more surgical or some linear phase mastering equalizer. Live's EQ8 is a quite good EQ plugin, but when I use it on master bus, I prefer low shelf instead of a low cut. EQ8 is not linear phase EQ, so low cut may cause artifacts and phase problems. It is possible that the problem is in the mix, but sometimes it's easier to fix EQ during mastering process. However, I'd like to try to attenuate sub-bass frequencies on group or tracks. Let's see what we have here. There is a low cut here, so let's check out the bass. Here it is. I think we can attenuate sub-frequencies on this bass layer. Usually I use glue compressor to bring the volume up. I think it sounds better than Live's limiter, especially when you need more transparent sound. So I'm using a limiter just to make sure it doesn't clip. We already have a good volume level, so I just made a small boost on it. And I think we're done. Of course, this is not a mastering tutorial, I'm just telling you what works for me. I think we can attenuate mids just a bit. You can get better results with some waves, UAD or isotope plugins on the master bus. Anyway, I think that our track sounds quite fine. It is good enough to play it in the club or even release it on the label. It sounds loud, wide, punchy and without audible issues. I will try to apply multiband compressor to smoothen dynamic peaks and increase headroom just a bit. This is not necessary, but it's worth to try. I set similar settings as we have on glue compressor, short release and about the same settings on the each band. Nothing extraordinary, I'm just doing everything by ear. It adds just a bit of density. I'm just experimenting with some settings here and there and make some final adjustments. That's it. I like how it sounds. Let's listen it from the beginning to the end. Our track was good without mastering processing, so if you have a good mix, you can simply put a limiter to make it louder and make just a slight adjustment on EQ. Mastering is not a magic wand, and basically your track should sound like a finished track, just not that loud. So that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial and learned something useful. Peace.